If you have been waking before the alarm, with a knot beneath your ribs and a thought you cannot shake that something in your life is about to demand a choice, this found you in time. Have you noticed how the goals that once lit you up now feel like costumes that no longer fit? How small annoyances have grown teeth? How your own potential has started to feel heavy on your shoulders rather than electric in your chest? That pressure is not failure. It is the signal that the life you built is asking whether you are willing to become the person who can truly live it. When the air around your days feels charged, yet strangely thin, when the routine no longer holds you and the future refuses to introduce itself, you are standing in the silent doorway that most people never notice until it has already closed. Here is the truth you have suspected, but not yet said out loud. Timing is not waiting for you to feel ready. Timing is asking whether you will answer. The reason these words reached you now is not chance. Your days have been gathering into a narrow passage where an ordinary decision will carry extraordinary weight. Most people miss passages like this because they search for guarantees. You have already noticed that guarantees are not arriving. What is arriving is an invitation. Think back to the last few weeks. Conversations that once flowed have turned stiff. Routines that once soothed have started to scrape. Ideas that once promised meaning now ring hollow. This is not chaos. This is clearing. Life is moving furniture so the door can open. You can ignore the scraping and call it noise, or you can recognize it as the sound of a new room being prepared for you. The date is not magic. The window is the alignment between who you have become and what wants to begin, and that alignment crystallizes when you stop waiting to feel certain and start choosing to feel honest. You have been practicing for this without realizing it. Every time you said yes to growth when comfort would have been easier, you stretched the container that will hold what is next. Every night you stared at the ceiling and questioned everything, you refined the compass you will use when the map disappears. Every disappointment that stung taught you that your worth is not negotiable, which is the exact belief you will need when a promising opportunity asks for the version of you that does not play small. What you are feeling in your body is the weather of change. Restless sleep is your nervous system rehearsing unfamiliar stability. Sudden clarity followed by doubt is your mind adjusting to wider horizons. A pull toward solitude is your energy consolidating power. None of this means you are behind. It means you are early. It means you are one of the few who hears the latch when it clicks. So here is the proposition at the center of this message. Between now and September 27th, you will meet choices that look ordinary and feel inconvenient. They may arrive as a conversation you did not expect, a request that stretches you, a moment when you are asked to speak on your own behalf. If you meet these moments as the person you have already outgrown, the passage will close and nothing will seem to have happened. If you meet them as the person you are becoming, you will feel the floor of your life shift beneath your feet in the best possible way. If this found you before the date, you have not missed it. You have won an early signal. The next door opens from the inside. The key is not certainty. The key is aligned action taken while your hands still shake. Keep listening. The window is open. You do not need a prophecy to navigate a turning point. You need a practice. The difference between those who cross thresholds and those who circle them is not talent or luck. It is the skill of recognizing alignment as it forms and moving with it before it becomes obvious. Alignment begins quietly. It starts as a change in the texture of your attention. The same problem that drained you last month now feels strangely solvable. The idea that once felt heavy now hums with a clean signal. The invitation that used to trigger avoidance now stirs a steadier kind of courage. If you wait for a trumpet blast, you will miss the violin tuning in the corner. The violin is where transformation starts. Think of your life as a harbor at dawn. For years you have sailed familiar routes that returned you to the same shoreline. In recent weeks, a new current has been sliding beneath the surface. You cannot see its shape from above, but you can feel the rudder respond differently in your hands. The wind has not changed. Your grip has. The instruments on your deck still read as before, yet your body knows the boat is ready to move. Alignment is this conversation between inner and outer. The world sends a faint green light. Your interior replies by releasing the brake it has been holding for years. Most people are taught to demand guarantees before they move. They request a forecast without clouds, a map without crossings, a future without friction. The paradox is that guarantees appear for those who do not demand them. Clarity favors the committed. When you act from a place that honors your deepest values rather than your loudest fears, the path you could not see begins to reveal itself just ahead of your feet. You will not be handed the entire staircase. You will be handed the next solid step. Alignment has always worked this way. It is less like certainty and more like coherence. Your thoughts, your emotions, your choices, and your embodied presence start pointing the same direction, and the world recognizes a signature it can partner with. There are practical signals that your life is ready to move. You find yourself telling the truth a little faster than before. You reach for water instead of distraction. You answer a message that you would have postponed last month, and something small but unmistakable opens. You decline an opportunity that flatters you but does not fit you, and immediately a conversation that does fit appears. You stop rehearsing speeches in your head and start listening for the sentence that feels alive in your mouth. These are not cosmic fireworks. They are evidence that your inner government has agreed on a policy and your actions have become legislation. When this happens, time behaves differently. What used to take months takes days. What never moved at all begins to slide with the gentlest push. If a part of you is whispering that you have tried before and the door did not open, listen closely. You did not fail. You knocked with a divided hand. You asked for change while clinging to the anchors that kept you in place. You requested flight while weighing your own wings down with old negotiations. Alignment is not the absence of doubt. It is the willingness to choose in the presence of doubt without letting doubt steer. Your body will still hum with nerves. Your mind will still offer you the catalog of possible outcomes. The difference is that you will not follow the oldest story. You will follow the truest one. Between now and the date that has placed a quiet circle on your calendar, expect the ordinary to carry more consequence than usual. A message you almost ignore will contain coordinates. A meeting rescheduled twice will land at the exact hour when you are brave enough to speak clearly. A task that felt beneath you will reveal a skill you forgot you had, and that skill will be the hinge for a larger door. This is not superstition. This is how momentum feels when it builds. It does not arrive with banners. It recruits the smallest moments and asks whether you will treat them as sacred. If you want a way to participate on purpose, begin by choosing one standard to uphold without compromise. Choose the standard of honest speech with yourself first. Name what you want and what you will no longer tolerate in language that does not perform for anyone. Say it quietly if you must. Say it on paper if your voice shakes. Truth spoken without theater reorganizes a life. Second, choose one courageous act that can be completed in a single sitting. Send the message. Make the request. Close the account that keeps you looping an old pattern. Courage practiced in small, complete acts trains your system to recognize safety on the other side of stretch. Third, choose a restoration that signals to your body that it is safe to expand. Drink the water. Step outside at dusk and breathe as if you are allowed to arrive. Go to bed on time and rise 5 minutes earlier than required to greet yourself before the day makes other demands. None of these choices will look dramatic from the outside. From the inside, they are the difference between a door that sticks and a door that swings. You will be tempted to wait for a sign that eliminates risk. That sign will not come. What will come is an inner quiet that feels like standing at the edge of a pool on a hot day. You cannot know the exact temperature until you enter. You only know that staying on the concrete will not cool you. The leap is not into danger. It is into congruence. It is into the life that matches the integrity you have been practicing in private. When the moment arrives, it will likely be disguised as something you could easily postpone. A phone call you could send to voicemail, a draft you could save for later, a meeting where you could keep your head down. Choose differently. Meet the moment while it still looks small. Great doors have small handles. Reach for them. There is a reason the most ordinary room suddenly feels different when you enter it with intention. Attention is the quiet architect of reality. The world takes its shape around what you keep returning to, not what you occasionally wish for. You have been returning to a feeling lately, a sense that something unseen is aligning just ahead of you. That feeling is not a tease. It is a trail marker. Follow it as if it knows the path, because it does. When people miss their opening, it is rarely because they lacked opportunity. It is because they misread the language of their own lives. They waited for a louder sign, while the subtle ones did the heavy lifting. The language of alignment is not dramatic. It speaks through repetition. It speaks through the way a name keeps appearing, through the way a theme keeps surfacing in unrelated places, through the way a sentence lands in your chest and keeps ringing for hours after the conversation ends. When enough of these quiet signals gather in one direction, that is not coincidence. That is the road revealing itself an inch at a time. Begin by letting your life hear itself. Speak your direction out loud in a room where no one is listening, so that you can hear the tone in your own voice. A voice that wavers with fear is not a problem. A voice that hides from truth is. When you say the thing that is real, your body steadies as if a tuning fork has finally found its note. Your breath drops lower. Your ribs loosen. You feel that half step of internal space that says yes. You are finally facing the right way. If there is a single mistake that steals more futures than any other, it is the belief that you must understand before you move. In real life, understanding is a byproduct of motion. You take one honest step, and the horizon reveals another inch of coastline. That inch is enough. You are not being asked to become someone else overnight. You are being asked to stop pretending you are not already the person who can take the next step. When you stop performing reluctance, energy that was trapped in hesitation returns to you as usable power. You may notice how your environment begins to conspire with your choice. The right article appears at the hour you needed it. A friend mentions the very resource you had been hoping to find. A stranger treats you like the person you have been rehearsing in private. Call this grace if you like. Call it pattern recognition. What matters is that you respond. A window stays open only as long as someone is willing to walk through it. This is why dates matter in a human life. They turn the abstract into an appointment. They take an intention that could drift for months and ask whether you will meet it now. Choose the smallest form of courage possible, because small courage compounds. When the chance to defer arises, say yes instead. Yes to the conversation, yes to the request, yes to the first draft, yes to the meeting where you speak first rather than last. Each yes is a stitch that binds the future to the present. After a handful of stitches, the fabric is strong enough to carry real weight. That is when the larger invitations arrive, not because the world was withholding them, but because you had not yet built the structure that could hold them without tearing. There is a shape to transformation that reveals itself in the body before the mind builds a story. It feels like a clean current running beneath your sternum. It feels like gravity answering your name. It feels like the difference between forcing and allowing. If you have to grind your teeth to keep something in place, it does not belong. If you can sit upright and breathe all the way down while you choose it, you have your sign. This is how you tell the difference between a risk that empties you and a risk that expands you. One tightens your throat, the other widens your chest. People will ask how you knew. You will want to talk about strategies and frameworks. The truer answer will sound less impressive. You knew because you finally listened to the information your life had been offering for months. You knew because you stopped confusing comfort with safety. You knew because you treated your inner signals with the seriousness you usually reserve for other people's rules. This is maturity of the most useful kind. It does not make you untouchable. It makes you honest. Let us make this tangible together, because participation breeds clarity. In the space where people gather beneath this message, write the sentence you have been whispering to yourself when the room is dark and quiet. If a full sentence feels too exposed, Offer one word that names the energy you are choosing to carry forward. When you put language to intention, you anchor it. When you share it, you accelerate it. Your comment is not for the algorithm. It is a public promise to the person you are becoming. And seeing your own words outside your head will teach your nervous system that you mean them. As the date approaches, do not mistake turbulence for a wrong turn. Air gets bumpiest just before landing because the atmosphere is stacking layers of temperature and pressure. Lives do the same. Expect the old pattern to make a final bid for your attention. Expect the familiar distraction to arrive dressed as urgency. Expect the comfortable invitation that would cost you the exact momentum you have been building. Declining what no longer fits is not a punishment. It is a vote. Each vote counts, and a handful of firm votes creates a mandate your future can trust. What awaits on the other side of this window will not look like fireworks. It will look like proportion. Your days will begin to match your values at a rate that feels almost suspicious at first. You will send fewer messages that apologize for existing. You will sleep harder and wake clearer. You will notice how many decisions no longer require a debate. None of this requires perfection. It requires availability. Available to feel, to choose, to follow through, to recalibrate quickly when you miss, to keep moving through the doorway rather than standing inside it rehearsing speeches. If this message has been brushing against the place in you that has been restless for months, take it as confirmation that you are not imagining the shift. You are feeling the forward edge of your own life arrive to meet you. Meet it back. If you need a sentence to carry in your pocket, let it be this: I will move while I can still feel the door. Write it where you will see it in the morning and again at night. Let it become the quiet promise that steadies your hand when the moment looks too small to matter. Small moments do not look small in hindsight. They look like hinges. Between now and the date that has been circling your awareness, walk through your days as if the room is listening, because it is. Life notices the ones who notice it. The more you move like a partner, the more partnership arrives. The more you speak like a person who trusts their own word, the more your world organizes around that trust. This is how you activate the advantage of arriving before the window closes. You do not hustle. You align. You do not shout. You signal. You do not wait to feel ready. You behave as the person who is ready and allow readiness to catch up. Activation is not a switch hidden in the ceiling of your life. Activation is how you enter a room. It happens in the posture of your choices, in the angle of your attention, in the way you treat the next hour as a container for the person you intend to be. If you are wondering what to do with the time between now and the date that keeps humming in the background of your days, give the next hour a job. Ask it to become proof, not grand proof, simple proof that you can align thought, word and action long enough for momentum to find you. You already know the difference between motion and movement. Motion burns fuel while staying in place. Movement covers ground. When you open a dozen tabs in your mind and touch each one for a minute, that is motion. When you choose one tab and stay until something real changes, that is movement. An hour placed entirely in service of one honest outcome is enough to bend a day. A handful of bent days can tilt a month. A month with a clear tilt arrives at a threshold exactly when it matters. This is why arriving before the 27th is not about racing time. It is about setting the angle now so that gravity can help. Treat your environment as an ally rather than an obstacle course. Your surroundings are already speaking to your nervous system before a single decision has been made. If your space is cluttered with yesterday's hesitations, your body interprets today as a repeat. When you clear a surface, you are not performing a chore. You are removing arguments against your future. When you place the tool you will need within easy reach, you are not being tidy. You are reducing the amount of friction required for your first action. Momentum loves the path of least resistance. So does courage. Most people assume extraordinary effort is the price of change. In truth, intelligent removal of friction is the currency that buys more effort than discipline alone ever could. Your relationships are part of the weather you travel in. Speak to at least one person as the version of you who is already moving. You can do this without theatrics and without declaring a manifesto. It sounds like answering a casual question honestly. It sounds like saying, I am working toward this, and I will follow up by this date when someone asks how you are. It sounds like declining the invitation that undermines your focus without apologizing for honoring your priorities. Watch how the air in the conversation changes. Watch how people who have been waiting for your clarity relax around you. Some will come closer. Some will drift. Let both responses be information rather than drama. You are not performing a departure. You are stepping to the front of your own life. Expect resistance to dress itself in reasonable clothing. It will sound practical. It will offer you better timing and safer routes and more data to review. It will call itself patience while it asks you to delay a choice that cost you nothing to begin. Recognize the difference between delay that gathers strength and delay that leaks it. Delay that gathers strength returns you to the work with new capacity. Delay that leaks strength leaves you feeling smaller. The moment you notice a delay making you smaller, end it politely and proceed. This is how you prevent a week from dissolving into the warm fog of almost. There is a useful experiment you can run in real time that requires no belief system, only curiosity. Choose one decision that has been hovering. Name the aligned outcome in a single clear sentence. Speak it once, out loud, so your body can register that you have taken a position. Then move one step in that direction that can be completed within the hour. After the step, pause and notice the feedback that arrives. Feedback will show up as ease or drag, as serendipity or stalling, as energy increasing or sagging. Do not overinterpret a single data point. Do notice the trend across a handful of such experiments. Trends tell the truth that single moments sometimes distort. When the trend points forward, do not wait for unanimous approval from every part of you. Proceed with the cohort that is already ready. The rest will learn by participation. If you are worried about making the wrong choice, remember that wrong choices rarely trap you. What traps people is refusing to gather the information that only action can provide. An imperfect yes teaches you more than a perfect maybe. The world is less fragile than your fear suggests. Most doors that matter are built with hinges that swing both ways. You can step in, learn quickly, and step out with more wisdom than you had this morning. The only door that becomes heavier is the one you keep staring at. Staring adds weight. Stepping adds knowledge. Knowledge is lighter than fear. Your body will tell you when you are aligned if you listen without trying to negotiate. Alignment does not feel like floating. It feels like grounded aliveness. It feels like your breath remembers how to travel the full distance between your collarbone and your belly without asking permission. It feels like sentences assembling themselves without rehearsal. It feels like leaving a conversation with more energy than you brought. It feels like work that tires your muscles while feeding your spirit. If you are carrying a project that drains you before you begin, consider the possibility that you are dragging the wrong version of it. Sometimes the idea is right and the format is wrong. Sometimes the timing is right and the scope is wrong. Sometimes the goal is right and the audience is wrong. Adjust the version until your body answers yes without forcing it. The closer you move toward a new chapter, the more the old chapter will attempt one last encore. Expect the familiar distraction to arrive looking generous. Expect the comfortable conflict to present itself as urgent business. Expect the permission you used to require to finally appear just as you stop needing it. Smile at these tests the way a seasoned traveler smiles at turbulence. You do not argue with the air. You steady your breath, check your seatbelt, and remember that roughness is a sign you are passing through layers. Layers only exist between where you were and where you are landing. You are not failing when you feel them. You are traveling. You may be tempted to measure your progress in visible trophies. Do not. Trophies arrive late. Measure progress in the speed at which you return to what matters after you wobble. Measure it in how quickly you tell the truth after you notice yourself performing. Measure it in the number of evenings you can look back on and say, I did the thing I said I would do. These are the metrics that quietly add up to a life that feels like your own. When the visible rewards appear, they will feel almost unsurprising because your days will already have become the reward. As the 27th approaches, you will likely feel time in a new way. Hours will seem to open and close like gills. Some will be unusually porous and generous. Others will be narrow and exacting. Work with what each hour offers rather than forcing a schedule that ignores the tide. When an hour opens, move something meaningful inside it. When an hour tightens, protect your attention and rest inside the structure it provides. Living this way is not chaotic. It is responsive. Responsiveness is how you stay in conversation with a life that is trying to promote you. If there is a mantra hidden in this season, it is this: do not postpone your becoming to spare your past from feeling obsolete. The past already knows its job is complete. You are the only one keeping it on payroll. Thank it for its service and offer it a new role as experience rather than as boss. The moment you make this shift, you will feel the budget of your attention free up. That surplus is exactly what you will invest in the next chapter. When the date arrives, nothing mystical needs to flash in the sky for your life to turn. A small conversation can do it. A quiet yes can do it. A clear no can do it. The proof that you have activated your advantage will be simple. You will recognize yourself in your own behavior. You will hear your voice and think, there I am. You will see your calendar and think, that looks like me. You will go to sleep and feel the gentle satisfaction that comes from moving with your life rather than against it. This is not glamour. This is power. Power that does not need an audience to be real. By now, you have felt it in your bones that the door you have been circling is not ornamental. It is a working hinge with your fingerprints already on the handle. The season you have been walking through has taught you a private alphabet of signals. Restlessness that asks for honesty. Synchronicities that arrive like breadcrumbs. Resistance that grows loud when you move closer to the truth. All of it has been orientation rather than obstacle, the way a shoreline looks jagged from the water until you learn how to read the coves and currents. You do not need a louder sign. You need to treat what you already know as sufficient to begin. September 27th is not a superstition. It is a commitment stamped into a calendar to keep you from drifting. Portals in a human life often look like paperwork, like the moment you answer a message without hedging, like the hour you protect for the work that matters, like the invitation you decline because it would require you to shrink. The door opens for people who behave as if it is already open. When you act in alignment for long enough, the world stops arguing with you and begins coordinating. Timelines reorganize around people whose choices are coherent. You have spent months refining coherence in private. Now is the moment to let it become visible. You may still hear an older voice in your head asking for one more round of preparation. Smile at it the way you would smile at a loyal friend who mistakes your strength for fragility. Preparation did its job. It delivered you to a threshold with enough capacity to carry what comes next. The skill you need now is participation. Participation looks like a steady yes to the path you have already recognized and a clear no to the detours that once charmed you. It looks like using your attention as a sculptor rather than a critic. Critics describe. Sculptors remove what is not the statue. Removing what is not you is not loss. It is precision. If you worry that choosing will lock you into a life you cannot revise, remember how often you have pivoted before. You have changed cities and jobs and friendships and habits. You did not need a guarantee then. You needed a starting point. Starting points are generous. They let you learn what only movement teaches. They give you information about your pace and your preferences. They reveal the difference between an aim you inherited and an aim that belongs to you. If you choose now and discover a truer version of the choice a month from today, that is not failure. That is fidelity to what is real. Fidelity of this kind is what life rewards. As you cross into the days surrounding the date, treat your word as a living instrument. Speak promises you intend to honor and keep them small enough to keep. Integrity at the scale of hours builds outcomes at the scale of years. When you meet a moment that feels ordinary, yet carries a weight you cannot name, step toward it. The unremarkable door has always been the one that leads to rooms you never imagined. The people you need will recognize you by the way you arrive. Not brash, not apologetic, simply present. Presence is the loudest frequency in any room because it signals that you are available to be changed by what is true. There will be evenings in the coming weeks when you look back on the day and feel the quiet relief of having behaved like yourself. Guard those evenings the way you would guard a fire in wind. They are the proof that momentum is not a myth. They are the proof that you can live from the inside out and still meet the world on practical terms. You will notice that your calendar begins to mirror your values without heroic effort. You will notice that conversations open faster because you ask cleaner questions. You will notice that decisions which once required a committee now ask only for a breath. This is the texture of a life that fits. It does not stun you with fireworks. It steadies you with belonging. If these words have woken something you had placed on a top shelf, take them as permission to reach for it. Write the email. Set the boundary. Start the project in the smallest way that makes it real. Walk into your days with the posture of someone who trusts their own follow-through. Not because you are invincible, but because you are willing to repair quickly when you miss. Willingness will take you farther than confidence ever did. Confidence often waits for evidence. Willingness produces it. Before we part, there is one more choice that will compound everything you have decided tonight. Choose to stay within a conversation that keeps you aligned when the old signal tries to pull you sideways. Choose to remain near words and people who help you remember rather than distract you into forgetting. If this message has served as that kind of anchor, allow yourself to mark it. Tap subscribe so that the rhythm of these reminders continues to meet you at the right time. You are not subscribing to noise. You are subscribing to coherence, to a cadence that holds you at the frequency you came here to practice until it becomes your native tongue. The hinge is warm in your hand. The room beyond the door will not be louder than this moment. It will simply be more yours. Step through while you can still feel the threshold under your feet. Let the next hour carry one action you will be proud to remember. Then let the hour after that repeat the pattern. This is how advantage becomes inevitability. Not through spectacle, but through the ordinary holiness of aligned choices made on schedule. You arrived before the window closed. That was the first win. This next step is the second. Take it and let the world adjust around the shape of your yes.